From the House of Sungo, this is Gaytopix by Life. I'm your host, Kenny Cruz, and this is my life, my story, my confessions. These are real life stories, real life events, actual, true stories that happened to me and I've experienced in my lifetime. We all have a story. This is my story, my life, my confessions. Some viewers may find what I'm saying disturbing, so viewer discretion advised. All rights reserved. Again, I'm your host, Kenny Cruz, and this is Gaytopix, My Life. As you see, my eye looks like Sophia in The Color Purple. All my life I had to fight. I've explained that throughout this series, that all my life I had to fight. I'm still continuing to fight. I've been a ward of the state since I was a kid, and continue to be. I guess the first step I should say is that, let me show you this. This is my EBT card. I got this when I came home from Kabul, Afghanistan in 2005. And I've left this picture here. Well, I had to change the picture first because I was a child in the first picture. So when I came home, they enacted medical benefits along with food stamps on a card. So I had to take a new picture. But throughout the years, I kept this picture because it is a sign that I've been on the system my whole life. Look how young I am. Look how young I am. And I still have hair. I mean, receiving food stamps and medical care from Medicaid has been very beneficial to me throughout my lifetime. But, you know, when anytime you deal with the government, there's always a catch. I recently thought to myself I should stop telling individuals that I'm blind. For one, I'm in fear of my safety, especially on the New York subway with all these crimes happening and people being punched, pushed in front of the train or onto the tracks, stabbed, or being bashed in the head with a hammer. I am in fear of my safety. If I had my muscles, I probably wouldn't be so scared. But I've aged dramatically in the past 2 years, and I am not the same person anymore. I no longer look the same. I no longer feel the same. I'm no longer that person. I'm not. I don't know if it has anything to do with age and turning 50, but mentally I've gone through so much, and losing my dog Bill Clinton for over 21 years. He was at my side. The only one. I don't have any family or friends. People may dispute that, or maybe think that I am fabricating a tale, but it's true. If I had friends, I would not be talking to a camera every day, as I've done throughout this series, My Life. Moreover, I would have been in love a long time ago. There are no barbecues, birthdays, graduations, get-togethers Christmas holidays, presents, birthday, celebrations. They're nothing. I don't celebrate anything. I'm just stuck inside this room. A room I've been in essentially my whole life. It is my solitary confinement. People are now, government agencies are realizing now that solitary confinement is not beneficial to anyone. It actually makes things worse. But I should stop telling people that I'm blind because, or people that I trust that are going to do the best for me and take care of me and my health and well-being, because the only people in my life are caseworkers, social workers, doctors, and even the doctors have not been forthcoming, I guess, with their diagnosis and treatment, because they essentially left me in pain. I went to the doctor for my eye, to the emergency room, and I have seen about 9 different doctors on that one day because it was considered emergency. There were so many oohs and ahs and gasps because they saw my eye and knew that it was such an emergency and that it needed to be treated right away before I lose my vision permanently. But as I alluded to in a past episode of my life, I'm blind. I know my body. But it felt very intrusive because they're all following the first doctor's diagnosis. No one else came up with a different opinion. They're all just copying and pasting the notes from the first doctor, as they did with me in the hospital for special surgery, as well as NYU Langone. They all follow the first doctor, and they copy and paste the notes exactly, and yet nothing is done. There's no treatment, to deal with the pain and deal with the severe migraines and deal with the paralysis in my arm and the atrophy in my arm. They just essentially left me there. I realize now that it's probably all because they're filling their quotas and making paychecks off of me seeing them. So they don't really have to treat me, they just have to see me to get paid. And most oftentimes it's less than 5 minutes. But I went to the Manhattan Eye, Ear, and Throat Hospital, and these doctors were all hovering over my eye. And I'm sensitive to light. I've also was concerned about COVID because anyone could talk or anybody could breathe or sneeze and those particles can go right into my open eye. And I end up catching Omicron or Delta variant or maybe even a new variant of COVID. I was really concerned about that because my immune system was definitely compromised. After all those doctors saw me, or what I perceived to be doctors, one of them told me she would call me on Sunday to follow up with me because I went on a Friday. So she said, I'm going to call you on Sunday to follow up with you. So I get a call at 10 o'clock on Sunday, and she tells me that I have an appointment at 11, and I have to get down there. But by this time, both of my eyes, as you saw in previous episodes, were closed. I could not open both my eyes, and I was walking around my house and could not leave my house because the sun was burning, and my eyes were light sensitive, and the migraines. Moreover, I could not open my eyes. So I could not leave my house. And I was struck by the fact that she made an appointment on a Sunday. Who does that? Who does that? Secondly, that she called me within an hour and expected me to be there within less than an hour on the subway where I can't see where I'm going. Or, like I said, somebody can easily come up behind me and bash me in the head with a hammer. Thirdly, I was concerned by the fact that because I said that to her, she automatically dismissed me. They did some lab, cultures is what they call it, and they did some testing on my eye and sent it to the lab. And they told me that before they get the results from the lab, they were going to give me some medication to treat whatever it is. They have no idea what it is. It's an ulcer. That's what the first doctor said. And they were going to give me medication to basically treat anything. Because they didn't know themselves if it was an ulcer or not until the lab results came back. It's been over 2 months and I have not received those lab results. So I have no idea what is actually wrong with my eye to treat it. Thirdly, I was baffled by the fact that when I told her that I could not leave my house because I could not open my eyes, like I said, she dismissed me and made a follow-up appointment for Tuesday. Again, expected me to get on the subway and go to the hospital, but not to see the first doctor who diagnosed me with the ulcer, but to see someone else. So again, someone else is going to profit off of my eye and be invasive with all the lights and lasers and things like that going into my eye, making it much worse and more painful. So I didn't go to the appointment because I wanted to see the first doctor, and she wasn't available for the next 3 weeks. So I was like, okay, I'll wait the 3 weeks until her next appointment. But during that time, I'm expecting the lab results to come back. So I called the records department, and even getting on the phone is extremely difficult because I have to turn down the brightness, but even when I do that, it's still blaring and burning my eyes. So I can't even use my phone, which is why I've been absent from my daily duties as host of Gaytopix. Moreover, I can't read from the prompter. They didn't call me to tell me the results of the lab. They didn't send me copies of the lab. They have my email address. They also have my actual home address where they can send the results. They've called me repeatedly, but I told the doctor on that Sunday that I could not look at the phone because it was burning my eyes, or pick up the phone because it's burning my eyes. So they keep calling me. When I called them to get the records, they send me one sheet of paper that was clearly redacted and was missing a lot of information, like my height, my weight, what was wrong with my eye, and, the chief complaints about my eye, and nothing was... The important information was not on this actual document, nor were the lab results. So that I was disappointed, and I called again to ask for the records again, and of course, no one called me. And when they did, they just leave a message and want me to call them back. I can't press buttons. I can't even press the button to to come online right now to record this video. It's extremely difficult. It is 4:30 in the morning. This is the only time that I can, one, I can't sleep because I'm in so much pain, and the migraines are so pounding like a jackhammer all on my right side. But the light isn't so bright at this time, and I can actually see a little bit better with my left eye. Shortly after that visit, I spoke to my caseworker at HRA, because again, you just saw my EBT card, and I spoke to my caseworker, who has been my caseworker now for over a decade. And he tells me I'm a good case because I never really ask or need anything from him. So he likes working with me. In fact, they recently transferred him and gave me another caseworker, but he took me back on his caseload. So I felt really appreciated and valued in that aspect, because we do have a rapport with each other, and I like him, and I trusted him. I say trusted because when I told him that I had lost my sight and I went to the doctors and stuff like that, he says, okay, well, I know you don't have an emergency contact, so I can designate myself to be your emergency contact, and I need you to sign some forms. So I was like, okay. He makes a home visit, and I signed several documents, not knowing what I was signing because I could not see. But during the home visit, I specifically questioned him about being my emergency contact. And I said, do you know what the duties are for an emergency contact? I.e., being available when there's an emergency, coming to the hospital if I need you at the hospital, calling you randomly to tell you there's an emergency, or you just being supportive to me as my emergency contact and help me get through the emergency. So, oh no, I can't do that. I can't work past business hours, or you can't call me on the weekends. So I said, then essentially, I have to have an emergency when you're on work, and then when you're not in the field. So only 2 days out of the week you're in the office. So I can only have an emergency in 2 days, and then you're not for certain that you're going to show up in the hospital to help me. So he told me, he was like, well, you can sign the documents and, I can be your emergency contact. But after that, I questioned it. But I signed the documents, and like I said, I questioned it. And a week later, a copy of the documents come in the mail. And it wasn't until yesterday, which is another week later, that I was able to actually read the document. Get this. It says, if I give my consent below, I am authorizing the New York City Department of Social Services, including the New York City Human Resources Administration and the New York City Department of Homeless Services, to access my health records, which will include sensitive information and conditions such as sexually transmitted diseases, medicine and dosages, diagnostic information, allergies, substance abuse, clinical notes from the doctor, HIV, abortion, AIDS, social health conditions, lab tests, claims encounter, live-in situation, employment information. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does not dispute everything that the HIPAA law prevents from happening with the doctor-patient confidentiality. This information is privileged, I cannot share this information with the entire New York City, the state of New York. I can't do that. It's ridiculous. I was so I was completely baffled by this entire document, and when I saw it, I felt that he betrayed me, and I had lost trust. Again, here we are with this whole mental health thing. Just because you talk about mental health does not make you aware of it. And I'm saying that again because what does the Department of Homeless Services need to know if I have AIDS or STD or if I broke my arm, you know, or what medication I'm taking? That's none of their business. Or what my lab test results are. That's none of their business. Moreover, I am now inclined not to tell my doctor personal information because I know it's going to be shared. So now I can't trust my doctor. I signed when I found after reading this, I immediately called him and I took I denied the consent, but there's a cliff note at the bottom that says you can choose your consent choice at any time by submitting a new consent form with your new choice. Organizations that access your health information through HealthX while your consent is in effect may copy or include your information in their own medical records. Even if you later decide to change your consent decision, they are not required to return your information or remove it from their records. That means from the time that I gave the consent, without knowing that I gave the consent, to the time that I denied, when I knew that I was denying the consent, they could have accessed all of my records. So in a sense, I'm kind of screwed here because the entire city has my personal health information. And I can't tell you how wrong that is on so many levels. This information that I share with my doctor or any doctor is privileged. It is not information that should be shared with New York State or anyone for that matter. Why do this whole HIV thing, or an STD, no one should know that information but the person that I'm sleeping with. Granted, I haven't had sex in 10 years, since 2012, but that information should not be shared with the Department of Homelessness. Moreover, I'm not homeless. I'm in an apartment, and I've been living here for 15 years. So I don't even know why I have to share my health information with the Department of Homeless Services. HRA, I guess, with the caseworker, but his name is not listed on this document at all. So how is he an emergency document, emergency contact? If his name was on here, perhaps maybe I would have consented, but his name is nowhere to be found on this sheet. And again, the place that is accessing my records to share in their database is called HealthX. HealthX. I guess, and it's another form of HIPAA, but when you sign HIPAA, that's when you actually give consent to release the documents, but only to specific organizations and offices, not to the entire state. This is ridiculous. Moreover, like the Department of Social Services and Human Resources Administration have the access to my records, or had the access to my records, and have provided me no service whatsoever other than food stamps. It's they when this whole thing happened with bingo and they put me in the mental institution in Harlem Hospital, the EMTs kept asking me for my last four of my social security number. It says here too that they have access to my last four. So I put two and two together, and they were asking me, the EMTs were asking me for my last four so they can look up my information through this system or this database. And of course, I refuse to give that information because, again, that's privileged information. Someone can easily steal my identity, and this is more of a reason why I don't trust the healthcare system. I don't trust people. I become isolated. I don't want to go outside because people always have a hidden agenda. There's always something. This is completely oblivious. What is the purpose of them knowing my health information and health history? I can understand other instances, such as my living situation, and if I pay my rent on time, and if I'm having problems paying my rent, or if I can't pay the electric bill, or if I don't have enough food stamps and stuff like that, but nothing health related. That's between me and my doctor, my primary care physician, not the entire New York State. I don't know what to say or what to do, and I called Medicare and Medicaid to put a block, but like I said, they had, by the time that I gave the consent and by the time I denied the consent, they could have had the opportunity to copy the records. So in a way, I'm kind of fucked. I'm stuck, and now if I get arrested, or if I go to another doctor, or if I go to the emergency room, or anything like that, they're going to stigmatize me or victimize me all over again when I give them my last four, because they're going to look up my history and my private information based off of what my doctor says and come up with their own conclusion and judgment against me and not give me the services that are needed. And that's the unfortunate part, because you trust these people that they're going to take care of you and your health and well-being because they signed a Hippocratic oath. But when one person says something negative, it's or doesn't understand you, it's a stigmatization against you as an individual. And no matter what you say and no matter how many times you defend yourself, no one's going to believe you, because what they see on paper, because this person has a degree or 4 degrees and went to residency, or works for the city, their opinion is more vital than my own personal opinion. When my eye first became blind, I thought I was having a stroke because the symptoms were very similar to having a stroke. But once I became blind, I knew that I was going to be blind and that there was no way around it. And the fact that these doctors at the Manhattan Eye, Ear, and Throat Hospital did not provide adequate professional service to me. Again, they were not looking out for my best interest by asking me to go on a subway in fear of my safety, being blind, because maybe somebody wouldn't push me. I could easily fall, down the tracks or down the stairs because I can't see, or even get hit by a car. I can't see, so there's no such thing as no, but when you ignore me, that's very disrespectful. And we could have done something a different way. Like, we could have FaceTimed, on here, they have that my chart shit. You could do that, or you can send me messages through that, or you can send me an email, or you could even send me the lab results, and or you can send a nurse here, or you can send a home health attendant to take me to the hospital. But none of that was brought up. None of that. So how are they taking care of my best interest in an emergency situation? I've been blind for 2 months now. This is not an emergency. They're not treating it as if it's an emergency. And that's the unfortunate part. I'm so grateful I have a dog now, because he is now my eyes, because I can't see. And I'm blind as fuck, and the lights and the sun burn, you know, but I still maintain my responsibility of taking him out 4 to 5 times a day. I do. No matter how painful it is, I still have a responsibility to do, and that is to take care of his well-being and health. I said that in a previous episode of my life when I told you the story about Bingo. This whole incident with Bingo, they were not reflecting on me and what taking him away was doing to me. Of course, my dog just died of 21 years, and I went through a rigorous process of having bricks thrown, or felt like bricks being thrown in my face, after being denied over 40 times for adoption for a dog, when I'm paying them and telling me that I'm not fit to have a dog when I had one for 21 years. How many people can say that? And so when they finally did have the adoption, they threatened to take him away from me. And when I defend myself and refuse to allow them to take him away, they put me in a mental institution. Because, well, if we take him away, what's going to happen to you? I don't know what's going to happen to me. My dog just died. I'm grieving. I'm in mourning right now. I'm trying to make the best of the situation and make my sanity more clear by having another dog to help me get through the mourning process. And you're going to take him away? That's not being very helpful to me and my mental health. Moreover, this person that put me in a mental institution is not a licensed psychiatrist or a social worker or anything like that. And she had the power to dictate my life to the police. Again, I was arrested for a wellness check. I'm still so blown away by that. And when I was in the hospital, they kept asking me for my social, and I was like, no, I'm not giving you that information. I'm not giving you that information. I'm not. And I know now that it's because of this document. I know now it's because of this document. And I'm going to do everything in my power to stop them from accessing my records, even if I have to go to court. Even if I have to go to court. Because this is not right. I did not know what I was signing. The signature is off, because you can clearly see from the signature that I couldn't see, because it's not my regular signature. And again, this information is privileged, and it should not be shared with the entire city or state. Like I said, I feel like Sophia in The Color Purple. All my life I had to fight. And when she got hit in the head with the gun and went to jail, her eye fell down. Essentially, my eye fell down. And it's white, as you can see there. This is my life. My stories, my confessions, my truth. I just told you that I've been on the system and a ward of the state since I was a kid. Since I was a kid. And I continue to be as a 50-year-old man. So do you not think that I do not know how the system works? Or loopholes in the system? Or ways around things? Because I've been on it for so many years. You know, I can't believe this is happening to me because it's like the icing on the cake. One thing after the other, and it just never stops. I can't even go on with my series because things just keep happening, and it never stops. It never stops. I'm tired, and my body is failing because I'm exhausted and fighting. I'm so now I can't even trust my doctor to tell him things because the information is going to be shared. I can't even do lab work. I just it's I want to cry, but my eye cries all the time, so it really makes no point in crying. So I'm not, but it just here all alone by myself. And even now with the new dog Bingo, it's there are problems because people don't say hi to me. I say hi to them, but they say hello to Bingo. They don't say hello to me. They didn't say hello to Bill Clinton to me either when I had Bill Clinton, because they said hello to Bill Clinton and not me. Mind you, they all have relationships with each other, and they talk, but no one talks to me. And when I talk to them, it's short and brief, and they leave, or when they see me, they avoid me. It's, I don't know if I'm meant to be alone or if this is how life is supposed to be, but like I said, I'm so blessed that I have a dog because there is nobody. There is nobody. It's just me and my dog. No emergency contact. Nothing. No doctors now. They weren't really helpful to begin with anyway, so they're all there just to fill a quota. Which brings me back to the Manhattan Eye, Ear, and Throat Hospital. All those doctors that I saw were interns. So that's why they were copying and pasting the notes from the first doctor because the first doctor was the doctor and they were interns. I don't want to go to the hospital to have an intern evaluate me. An intern is still learning. Moreover, I feel kind of weird when someone is younger than me and trying to be boss, or tell me what to do, or evaluate me or judge me. It just, moreover, it's or if they're straight because they don't understand gay culture. You know, I remember when I worked in the adult entertainment industry, I was a macho fucker. When you say macho fucker in the gay community, people automatically know what I'm talking about. But if I say that to somebody who's straight, they don't know what it is. And they look at me like I'm stupid. And something happened where I actually had to go to court. And I went to court. I want to tell this story later because it's part of my life, but I guess I should tell it now. The producer, Macho Fucker, looked like me. That's why I was hired and signed a contract to be an exclusive model with them because we were like twins. The only difference was that I was more muscular and he had tattoos, and I'm Spanish and he was German, I think. I don't know, but he's somewhere from Europe, Barcelona. I don't know, but he's not Spanish. But whatever. And he pretended to be me on three different occasions. Three different occasions. One, he took my debit card and wiped out my entire bank account. Two, he beat up somebody. Three, he went into the store and bashed up some of their belongings, and they had him on video. But because he looked like me, he used my identity and signed my name, so and used my phone number. So the police called me and I was arrested because anytime a police officer says that we want you to come to the station to ask you some questions, you know you're not leaving the station. Those handcuffs are staying on. And my dumbass, because I thought I was innocent and I had nothing to hide, I went in and I was arrested. But they showed me video stills of the video. They didn't actually show me what he did in the store, but they told me it was vandalized and things were stolen, and they showed me a video still. And I said to him, to the officer, that's not me. That's my producer. And he said, well, he looks very much like you. And I said, yeah, he does. We can pass for twins, to be honest with you. But there's a tattoo on his right arm. I don't have any tattoos. And he also has one on his neck. I don't have any tattoos. So you can, but the angle of the picture you couldn't see. So I'm not sure if he went back to the video to look or anything like that, but I had to go to court. I stayed in jail overnight. I thought I was going to see a judge really quickly, but I ended up staying the entire night in jail, and I was so bored. I was also very scared, but after a while, like maybe 3 or 4 hours, I thought to myself, wait a minute, just take off my shirt. I have muscles. People are going to be scared of me, you know? And that's essentially what I did. I took off my shirt and I was like, okay. And I used it as a pillow to go to sleep, and no one bothered me. And then when I was up, we were pitching pennies just to pass the time. Now that's, that's pitching pennies in the tombs. But when we got to court, everything that I said to the police officer or the detective was read by the DA in court, and they literally used my words against me. And when they referenced Macho Fucker and said Macho Fucker, that I was a model for Macho Fucker, the whole courtroom burst out in a laugh. Even the judge laughed. I couldn't help but laugh because it was kind of funny. It's like hearing a curse in court, But then I laughed and giggled and I said, it's true. And my lawyer was like, okay, be quiet, And I said, they're using my words against me. How can I be quiet, So eventually they did investigate and they found him to be liable, and they let me go and the charges were dropped. But I don't know why I brought that story up, but again, here we are. Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because most of the people in the courtroom that I knew of or that I suspected were straight, and hearing the word macho fucker, they had no idea what that was. So they laughed, and the people in the pews in the back, laughed. And like I said, it was kind of funny, but in the gay community, people know what macho fucker is. Just like in the drag community, everybody knows what drag race is. So there are certain things that people are not aware of because it's not their community, or they're not their peers. And when they don't know, you're stigmatized. By giving all my health information to the city, you're stigmatizing me and putting me in a category with people who are homeless, with people who have social service problems and issues of that nature, and it makes me feel like I'm one of those people who's sleeping on the train, and then the police come and ask you questions to see if you want to go to the shelter or someplace safe. Guess that's why I can't sleep. I'm drinking coffee. But I'm just so conflicted about my entire life. What the city really needs to do, and I'm going to be quite honest and frank with you. Since they have all my health information, they need to find my family, my real family, so I can have an emergency contact and wouldn't have to rely on someone who pretending to be my emergency contact but was only trying to get me to sign this document so the city can have all my information. I can't believe he did that. I am so disheartened by the whole betrayal. I can't trust him anymore either. I feel really hurt by that because he was essentially the only one I could trust. Moreover, if people think that I have a mental health problem, I wouldn't be able to do normal things. Like, I would not be able to sit here and record this while in dire health distress or duress, or put a sentence together. Like, when I went to the hospital for bingo in Harlem Hospital, they had the gall and the audacity to ask me who the president was. Do you think I'm that dumb? I know that I went to Harlem Hospital because that's what I told him the hospital that I wanted to go to was Harlem Hospital. So I made a joke. I was like, okay, so the President of the United States, let's see. The former one-term, twice impeached, disgraced racist in chief. And they started laughing. Now you're mocking me when you think that I'm not mentally stable. Of course I know Joe Biden is the president. I knew number 44 was the president. Number 45, excuse me. It just, they're putting you, and it's the same process, no matter how many ways or changes they put in the system, it always comes out the same because it's the same thing over and over and over again. They put you in a category with everyone else. Like when I was in the detention center as a kid, I didn't need to be there. I needed to be somewhere other than that place that was less violent because I was not a violent individual. I just didn't go to school because I was scared of being bullied and beat up because of my sexual orientation. Then when I was in the army, because I was gay, I couldn't even open up and be my authentic self because I would have been dishonorably discharged. Then when I come out, I get into the entertainment industry and I can't even tell people that I'm in the entertainment industry because there's a stigma on that. And people are like, oh, you must have sex with everybody. And I'm a whore and I'm this, I'm that. And find ways to hate me and not be associated with me. Or here with the dog, walking the dog every day, you see me, and like there's this dog that lives across the street. Bingo and that dog are the same age. They're both 9 months old. And Bingo and this dog were that dog, his name is Bodie, was the first dog Bingo met. Do you think that we would have the best of relationships? That they would be best of friends? No. Those people live across the street from me. And we don't talk. And I don't know, but there seems to be some type of aggression with her dog. And every time Bingo gets around her dog now, her dog, Bodie, gets really aggressive with Bingo. And I have to put her in a place. I'm like, you need to handle your dog, because her dog is way bigger than Bingo. And it, I would think that someone like the first dog that he met would be best friends for life and watch each other grow. And I don't care if you don't talk to me, but at least let the dogs play. And 95% of the dog's actions are based off of human emotions. So, because of her, I guess, not liking me or wanting to associate with me and is not wanting to bother with me, it comes off on the dog. And so now the dog is reacting to my dog because of her energy and negative energy. And that makes the dog aggressive. Like when you walk the dog and people are like, get your fucking dog, put your fucking dog on a leash, do this, do that, do that. You realize you're actually causing the problem by arguing and fighting. If you actually just let the dogs alone and leave them alone, more often times they would just sniff each other's butt and walk away. Or not even be bothered, or just simply walk past them. I like today I had an incident where I couldn't see him, so I didn't even know there was a dog there, but we were walking and the guy was like, get your fucking dog, get your fucking dog. And I didn't say anything, but we just kept walking right past him. So I'm like, what is all that for? You're yelling and screaming for what? For what? Because you made your dog aggressive and wanting to fight, and be mean and vicious? No dog is born vicious or aggressive. There are no bad dogs. There are bad owners. And so everything you do, your dog is going to copy. Because the dog is an inner reflection of you. Well, I I'm going on an hour, and it's just I have to cut it short. So I'm going to do that now. Again, this is Gaytopix, My Life. These are real life stories, real life confessions, real life experiences that I've encountered throughout my lifetime. These are true stories. There's nothing fake or fabricated in what I'm saying. Some viewers may find what I'm saying disturbing, so viewer discretion advised. All rights reserved. Again, this is Gaytopix, My Life. I'm your host, Kenny Cruz, and this is my life, my stories, my confessions. See you next time.